Welcome to UCStrategies Executive Insights. This is Jim Burton, and I'm here with Kieran McCorry from HP. Let me set the stage of what we're doing here. We're at the Link conference, and yesterday, Gurdeep Singh Paul, in his keynote presentation, talked about the evolution of our industry. It's the end of UC as we know it today as unified communications. We're taking a step forward into universal communications. And what Gurdeep has talked about in that is how we're using the various services that intelligence, automated intelligence, analytics, all of these types of things, that artificial intelligence, all of things pulling together to make much more rich environments for the communications and the collaboration and the communications people have. And that's the beauty of this. I wrote an article about 4 years ago talking about what I saw as the 3 stages of unified communications. Click to communicate, integrating communications into business process, which you could look at as CEBP, and then the 3rd stage is analytics. And what's interesting about it, the 3rd stage is now universal communications. The great news is we're here with HP, who already has a product. It's kind of serendipitous that we've already got that, but can you talk to us about your product and where you're seeing it fit in this new world?
So we were delighted to hear Gurdeep talk about the future with respect to analytics in real-time communications, because we're doing it today. So we have technology called HP in Context Analytics, and basically it's about bringing the power of analytics capabilities and a platform to bear with individuals as they're communicating together. We want to enrich the experience for individuals. We want to understand what they're talking about and make them more productive, empower them, giving the information that's relevant to their conversation as they're having that discussion. And that's our focus area.
So that all sounds good, but put it into a practical term. I mean, how would I benefit from the analytics that you've developed in my day-to-day life that I can see the improvement?
So without that analytics capability, you and I are in a Link conversation together. And you say to me, Kieran, I recall a Gartner article about social mobile inclined. Could you go get that for me? I'd have to go find that somewhere. I might have to go search on the web. I might find it, I might have to pay for it, or I might not find it. It might already exist within my corporate environment somewhere, but I may not know it's there, right? So that's the situation we have today. Bringing the real-time analytics capability to bear, by the time you've mentioned that article and given the information that surrounds it, I don't need to go look for it. We display the article in an extension panel within Link right there at that particular point in time. So it cuts out a lot of effort that individuals have to go to find information. We're all about simplifying the means by which individuals can find relevant content. And that's really what we're focused on.
Well, it's interesting because in Gurdeep's keynote yesterday, he kind of talked about an example like that. You're looking for a Joe, and that Joe just pops up at the top of the list because they know the Joe that you're referring to because of the communications and other interactions you've had. So it just makes it much more productive.
And we don't call it in context without a reason, right? We're very concerned about the contextual relationship between individuals. So we learn about individuals, we profile, we characterize them, we understand where in the organization they exist. And if we talk about gap, for example, maybe you're an accountant and gap means something very specific to you, like generally accepted accounting principles. Maybe I work for the London Underground and gap to me means mind the gap when you get off the train, right? So the context of gap to you is very different of the context of gap to me. So understanding the individuals, their context, means we can tailor the information we present back to them based on who they are, what they're interested in, and what they know. And again, that's our focus. It's not just about looking at the unstructured data in a conversation and simply going off and finding matching content. It's deeper than that. It's about finding content that's contextually relevant to you and where you are.
So I know you're an engineer, and don't take this personally, but I know that engineers often have these visions of things they're going to produce. So where are we? How real is this today? How can someone access it and actually buy it? I know there's several questions in there, but they all kind of lead to the same thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we've built the system. We're on the roadmap for functionality that we plan to introduce in the future. We're about to ship this in March. So, it's only several weeks away at this point in time. We're already deploying it in customer pilot customer projects within Europe. We've one lined up in the US. So this is real technology. I'm not saying we've solved every problem, because there are problems that we will only solve as we enhance the technology that we have today. But in terms of that core functionality of understanding what users are communicating about and giving them relevant content in real time, that works today.
So, and not to belittle this, because what you've done is really important, but it sounds like that your first level of interest is observing what's happening in a voice communications and then looking for keywords, taking those keywords and delivering information. Is that pretty accurate?
That's pretty accurate. We look at the communications between individuals. We strip out all of the kind of irrelevant noise that's associated with ordinary conversation. We identify some key terms. We send that off to an analytics platform that has indexed a large corpus of data and content, and we provide the relevant content back to the user. So on the one hand, yes, that's true, but like I said, we enhance that interaction by finding information that's contextually relevant to you. So it's not just by looking at search terms, right? It's about more than that. It's about looking at search terms with meta information that describes the individuals in the communication, who they are, what their interests are, and we learn about that over time, right? And we also only present information to users that they're entitled to see, right? So we respect organizational hierarchies and access control lists and different levels of permissions and rights that users...
I'd expect that from HP.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so far it sounds like what we've talked about is that you're having access to information based on that conversation. Is there anything else? Because I've got emails, all kinds of content that I'm looking at on a regular basis. Do you go into that yet?
So our focus, at least for the first release, and the second release, is very much on the here and now. So you're having a conversation. We're focused on interpersonal communications. Mm-hmm. So what's relevant for you at this point in time as you're in a conversation with someone else. However, we're interested in improving efficiency and empowering individuals. So today, yes, we look at interpersonal communications, but very much on our roadmap is, well, what if I'm about to send an email to someone and I want to talk about a particular project? Maybe something has happened somewhere else in my organization that I don't know about yet. I haven't got the status update, right? So it's not an interpersonal conversation in the real-time sense, but if I'm about to type a question in my email message that I'm sending, it'd be great if I could get the answer to that question at exactly the same time as I'm asking it, without actually directing the question to anyone. Yeah. Because if the knowledge exists in the organization some way, why shouldn't you just have it?
Yeah. Well, I know my colleague Marty Parker, if he was sitting here having these questions, is how do you see this eventually integrating into business processes? Because that's where there's so much opportunity, because anything you can streamline, cut out the amount of time involved and the labor involved, great return on investment there.
We want to enhance and enrich the business activities of users, right? And there are a number of ways you can look at that. Traditionally you've seen all these kinds of things to say, if you use this tool, you'll save 25 seconds per day in a user's productivity, right? Yeah. And you can take those and you can leave them.
Yeah, finance guys don't accept those.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? What we want to do is give users the right information to make them more efficient, to make them more effective. So there is an element of cutting out the labor-intensive mechanical actions that people need to do. So that improves efficiency. That allows you to do your job a little bit quicker. But we're more interested in improving the quality of information that individuals have to allow them to make, I guess you could call it, informed, better business decisions. So, we want to give individuals the right information so that they can make better decisions, basically, at the end of the day. We see that as underpinning business processes and business efficiencies.
Yeah, well, that's really good. One of the things that I think is important to understand, though, is go-to-market for you, because HP is such a complex company. Yes. You've got so many ways to take product to market. You have channel partners, and I know a lot of that's around your networking products, but is this something that one of your channel partners could take advantage of and deliver with a Link solution?
So we've got a model that has multiple parts to it. We're focused on the enterprise space to some extent, and we see this as a service that we would offer directly from HP for the enterprise. But the technology itself is something that we will package up and we will make available through the channels as well. It's not something that's confined to the enterprise. It's something that is easily packaged and implemented by channel partners and other parts of the business.
Well, that's really good. You know, part of this reason for having this discussion is to help educate the market. And hopefully I've asked you many of the questions that people would have. Is there anything that I've left out that you'd like to get out and let the audience know who's going to be listening to this?
I think the key thing, I suppose, with my HP hat on is very much we're bringing big data, cloud services and analytics into play here, into an area that has traditionally been starved of innovation in the workplace services space. We haven't seen a lot of this type of technology coming into. We believe we're uniquely positioned in HP to bring our capabilities and our competencies in analytics, consulting services to a space where very few other people have that ability.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you for joining me today. I think it's been very helpful and very educational.
Super. Thank you very much, Joe.